What was once a cornfield now sits a sprawling campus known as Redemption Christian Church. In small-town rural southern Indiana 23 years ago, an upstart church began with a handful of people, and God has grown it to an impactful church of more than 2,000 with campuses in 3 towns. How did this happen? What did God use to not just make a church grow, but create a movement of Christ followers who are brought into the mission of loving God, loving people, and changing the world?
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another Redemption Story podcast. You might notice Kevin is not with us this week. He's on a break right now. No, he's busy with work. And so anyway, we have Michaela Lance, who is our student and children's minister at the Jasper campus, oversees all of our family ministries for all of our campuses, kind of leads and champions those people that are doing that ministry. And so we just thought, you know what, we talked a lot about the importance of our family ministries and student ministries, but we haven't really talked to the people doing it yet. And so we thought we'd bring you on here. But before we jump into talking, maybe we'll start with kids ministry. How about you just tell us your story, how you got to Redemption? And
and even into ministry, right? It's so crazy. So I was, after I graduated college, took a job at a church, and I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. This is a nice residency. It's 1 year. I love kids. I love students. Let's see what happens. And about 3 months in the job, I was like, oh, man, I want to do this the rest of my life. And a few months later, met LG, who would go on to be my husband, for those of you who don't know. Friends for a long time. He moved here to Jasper to take on the teaching job. And about the time he left, we were both like, we miss each other, so maybe we should date. So dated for a while, moved here. And it was just that great timing for me after my experience of working in kids and students at my previous church, that Corey was taking over Tell City as a campus pastor. We were getting ready to launch in 2020, so really great timing. And that March, so applied for the job here, ended up getting hired specifically for student ministry. And shut down the church about 2 weeks later.
That's right.
With COVID.
Hired during COVID.
Yeah, it was not the best timing, but in a lot of ways, it was actually really cool. I look back on that time, and I'm thankful for how I got to get to know my coaches and my students that I did get to really pour into, because it was such a weird time.
Yeah, and we kind of restructure, rebranding kind of did during that time.
Yep.
So that kind of was nice because then it
Natural timing for it. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. It wasn't an easy time, though.
No. I think a lot of times Corey was like, haha, it's on you now.
Exactly.
It's like, dang it, how'd that happen?
And then he went on to be the campus pastor at Tell City, but in the meantime, he did nothing. I mean,
that was really nice for
him. Remodeled a house.
I did make him help me a lot. I was like,
Yeah.
You're going to be on social media when I have to do these random videos, so come on. But so that's how I got here and got to Redemption, and then been doing students and just took over kids back in March. So
For those you don't know, she led students, and great job with that. And then we had a opening come up with kids ministry, and we still haven't replaced that yet. And so kind of doing really what are the equivalent of 2 full-time roles. So that's not easy. But let's start maybe thinking about kids, because I really love our kids ministry. I love watching kids drag their parents in the church or run ahead of them to check in. They love it. So tell us a little bit about our kids ministry here and kind of how that works.
Yeah, I mean, kids ministry is so fun. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, what do you love about kids ministry? I'm like, you never, and same for students, you never know what's going to happen on a single Sunday. You know, it's like, it could be super smooth. You could have a really funny interaction with a kid. It could be a disaster or scary moment, right? Anything can happen with kids all the time. And so you can never just like sit back and be like, let's see what today brings. You have to be always on your toes. So it's super fun. But I love our kids ministry. We have volunteers who just, love our kids so well. I always think of Paula Mueller as like, I call her a unicorn, right? Like loves kids and loves parents so well. I'm like, everyone needs to shadow her and learn from her. She serves weekly with our walkers and has, I don't even know how long she's been doing that.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And now being on the mom side of our kids ministry, having 2 kids, watching my kids get excited to go in, to, have Ethan, one of his leaders, Jacob, I mean, when he sees him, he runs in and gives him a big hug, and he's ready for class when he sees him, which just like warms my heart. And I'm like, I'm so glad my son loves to be in church. But yeah, and at every age level, I mean, our goal is that kids are experiencing Jesus on their level. And so they're getting to worship, they're getting to open their Bibles and learn what the Bible is. They're getting teachings led, preschool's pretty short, couple minutes, elementary a little bit longer, and preteen, we're really trying to get them ready to move into student ministry and into adult services in just the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So each one of those just kind of progressive. But with all of that, like we kind of say our big three is that it's got to be safe, or parents don't want to drop off and kids don't feel safe being there. It has to be fun, or kids don't want to be there. It's not, why be here? It's not really fun to do it. It's like school or something like that. And then the third thing that happens when it's safe and it's fun is that we get to focus on Jesus and help these kids encounter him, sometimes for the first time. And definitely on a deeper and deeper level, we hope every week. So
yeah. And that really happens at all three of our campuses. And the kids ministry is a strong part of all three of those.
Yes,
we have
absolutely.
Amanda leading that at Lagodi, and Abby at Tell City, and she has the dual role there.
Yeah, she does. We get
with
to do it
students
together.
as well. So a lot of fun with that. So I think there's some things I don't think people maybe understand because they've never went. Most of our church partners have never went to kids ministry in their life. They didn't grow up in churches that had them. So they probably picture some kind of Sunday school model.
Sure, yeah.
So talk about the different environments we have for our kids ministry.
So picture in, we'll do like the preschool one first, right? So you'd walk in as a 2, 3, or 4-year-old. And it's a lot of fun, right? We're going to engage quick with toys and just like, let's go, let's have fun. A lot of settling a 2-year-old, distracting. Mine, I'm always like, he'll get there. You got this. Just get him some music playing. So we begin that way. But then within about 20 minutes, they're going next door to their large group space. And this is what I think is really the fun part for preschool every week. Get to go in and have your worship songs. So these songs are by a artist named Yancey. If anyone ever wants to look it up, but Yancey Praise Party, she does an amazing job at taking, big church ideas, big Bible ideas, and making it for a preschooler to hear. I was singing one with our boys one day in the car, and I was like, this is so theologically good. And my boys are just like, 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, you don't know how good this is. But I'm thankful because they're singing songs right now that I hope are getting into their heart in a really cool way. And talking about how, strong God is, how wonderful he is. I sometimes think they think they're the ones that are strong because they get to make their muscles. But it's lots of motions and fun and jumping and just trying to engage their little bodies to have fun. And then teachings that are done, we buy a curriculum, and so we use really good videos from people who do this. This is what they pour all their time into. And so we'll edit some of the language or things like that just to sound more like us, or to make it easier for me as a teacher to teach, or someone else to in their scripts. But the videos that we play are always just really good and funny, engaging, trying to just teach them about the Bible. And so they'll hear a story. I think last week was, or 2 weeks ago was Jericho. And so they actually had to open the Jesus Storybook Bible after watching their video, and they read the Jericho story from there. And I always think, as a full-grown adult, sometimes I read those Jesus Storybook, and I'm like, I should read more of these, because they take a story I've heard 1,000 times, and they remind me just of the importance of what happened in that time. And then Jesus Storybook always takes you to Jesus. So, this happened in the Old Testament, but you're going to see that later, God brought Jesus to be the final healing, to finally bring his people where they would never have to leave again. Yeah. So that's kind of a picture of maybe like a preschool model. And then they go back and they do the small group activities, which are, you're going to play with Play-Doh, but as you're molding something, you're talking about how God molds you. Or you're going to jump on this week, it's like you're jumping on the different books of the Bible, and we're talking about what those books are. So trying to do physical, fun things that help them to remember what they just learned.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
And then the older you get, the more...
Yep. More questions, we maybe are making them dive a little bit deeper, but especially elementary, we still like to do lots of activities, but just maybe a step up, right? Yeah. So they're also going to do sword drills, which is basically a term that's just like, we're going to give them a book of a scripture verse and they have to find it, and the first one to get it wins. And so they love a good competition to help them, get to learn how to open their Bible and what it means, but also just have fun with it. And their teachings are going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more in depth. By the time we get to preteen, we're trying to have more live worship that's less motions. They're starting to get a little too cool for the consistent motions, and they're looking more to feel bigger, feel like adults. And then we're really trying to add, Lagodi and Tell City have actually done a really great job with this, and I'm trying to adopt it here at Jasper, things that they do to engage them during communion time. So if a kid's been baptized, like, man, we want you to take communion, we want to teach you what it is. But we also don't want to rush kids into baptism if they're not ready. And sometimes they're like, I want to be able to, take the juice and eat the bread. We've heard kids say that, and you're like, wait a second, it's bigger than just taking the juice and eating the bread. And so we want to create other opportunities for them to respond, even if they are taking communion. And so building prayer walls in their room so they can go and write a prayer and put them up on a wall that then others can come and pray for those. And then here soon we'll have some mission statements or mission stations where they can go and engage with some of our mission partners and learn what it means. So trying to just kind of up it a little bit more so that they're experiencing a lot of what's happening in big church, as I still call it, but happening on their level.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's just an awesome environment back there. Really, the kids are excited. They spend a ton of time, and they leave wanting to come back, and they know something about Jesus. So what would you say to a parent about, maybe we got some parents that are checking this out that haven't put their kids into the...
Yeah.
What would you say to them about that to encourage them that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd want parents to hear too, like, it's okay that you're nervous. I became a mom, I feel like, really fast a few years ago, and I remember Sandy, she's still in the baby room, and she was like, when are you going to give me that baby? And I was like, I'm nervous, this is my time with him, I'm not ready, what if he struggles? I still sometimes, I'm like, hope he doesn't cry too long, like I get those fears, I get those hesitations, and I just encourage you, just keep taking those little steps to try. I just know kids in big church, they're just not getting anything out of it as smart or as engaged as they can be. It's not made for them, and they're missing out on the community of other kids and learning from other adults and getting to learn on their level. And so I would just encourage you to keep trying, even if it's, hey, let's see if you can make it a few minutes this time, and just keep building. And I always tell people, if you're afraid that your kid's going to cry or make it difficult on the leaders, I always say, we're good if you're good. So let us take a chance. It's one of my favorite things when we've watched maybe a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old who was struggling, then every week got a little bit better, and then you start seeing them run to their classroom, and you're like, yes, like they want to be here, and the parents' relief and the parents' ability to come in too. I want that for them. I mean, I feel like we are such a ministry to kids, but I want to be a ministry to parents too, that it allows you to come in and be here, and it allows you, and what we want to keep doing is equipping you to be able to disciple your kids at home, because we fully believe you are the number one disciplers in your kid's life. What we can do on Sunday mornings is, the beginning of that, and then handing you the tools to do it at home. And so we're trying to up that in the next couple of months as well.
Yeah, I was excited when I heard you all talk about the plans to kind of develop that, where, even on the ride home.
Yes.
Parents could engage with the kids about what they may have learned about, and I think that's really cool, and it's a great way to disciple a family.
Right.
Because in those discussions, the parents are going to learn and get a lot out of
absolutely.
it. And I do remember when we first went to a conference, because when we first started, we didn't really have a kids ministry, and Livia was a baby, and her, getting that page that she was crying and missing us, and it's like, no, we got to leave her there. Got to get used to it. And it's all just, it wasn't long before we went back, and she didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, key. And I love our kids ministry. I think it's a vital part of who we are. And I think when we started, it's maybe commonplace now, but there wasn't a lot of kids ministry happening in this area. And I think it was part of what set us apart. And I think it continues to do that with the excellence that you all and your volunteers do, your servers. And that being said, maybe close this episode on kids ministry by just saying, what can people do to help? And are you still looking for people to volunteer?
Right.
So,
I mean, always, right? Like, it's like we can never have too many people. I think when people ask that, like, do you still need people? You're like, oh, yes. We've been rebuilding a lot in this past year, and have had some awesome people step up or step back in who had to take a break for multiple reasons. And it's just, I mean, these classes are busy, and when you have 12 3-year-olds in a room, it honestly doesn't feel like you could have enough volunteers
Right.
to make it a smooth and perfect, excellent situation. And so, yeah, I mean, if you have a passion for kids, I mean, let's go. Like, let's find the place for you to serve. I mean, at any level, from the babies all the way up to preteens, there's a need there for you to be able to engage with kids on their level on a Sunday morning. But I also know there's a ton of people that are like, I care about kids, but it is not my gift,
Right.
or it gives me anxiety, and I get that too, and that's okay. And we do have behind the scenes ways that you can serve. I mean, serving in our production booths in the room, but less engaging with the kids and more helping make things go smoothly. So we have amazing people who set up during the week, and I always think we can't have enough of them either. Someone gets sick, it's a huge support to me. Same for, Tell City and Lagodi, they're still building up those teams all the time, just like I am. And so if you're interested at all in just like knowing what's out there, contact one of us 3 at our campus, because we would love to just talk to you and hear your gifts. And maybe you're just like, I'm super, organizational, and how do I use that? I mean, there's a role for whatever your gift is. And so just hit us up, because we need you for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Well, cool. Thanks for talking about this, and we'll have you stick around and shoot another episode to talk about our student ministry.
Great. Sounds good.